YouTube link is on there, and so is my Instagram bio. My Instagram link. You can click on there, and all of my stuff is in my profile on IG. But you can buy it directly from Amazon, or you can buy it directly from me. Either one. So the book is called Love Letter to Grief: Learning to Walk by Faith. I'm going to bring in Emoji J. He's going to show the book trailer, then we'll get started. On May 6, 2017, I lost my husband. That sounds so innocuous, doesn't it? I lost my husband. As if somehow I misplaced him. As if I set him down somewhere and forgot to pick him back up. As if I let him out of my sight and forgot the last place I saw him. The truth is, I didn't lose my husband. He died. People always say to me, I don't know how you do this. They don't know just how close you and I have grown. Faith, you are how I push through. Faith, you are how I am okay. Faith, you are the reason I did not give up. Without you, I would have allowed myself to fall short of God's glory. Without you, I would not have trusted God, and what a scary, lonely place that would be. Faith, you are the substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of things not seen. But you are also the source of power and strength that I never knew I needed so much. My faith in God, His promises, His word, are the answers to how I survived this chapter of my life. Without my faith in God, the story would have ended far worse. The pages of my life would have read quite differently. But with my faith, I will continue to push through, because although the grief journey is tough, I also know I will never walk it alone. This is my love letter to you, about my feelings for you, a letter to not giving up, not giving in, and learning to walk by faith every step of the way. May the lessons I've learned, the stories I've shared, and the letters I've written be an inspiration to that broken heart I experienced the day I lost my husband. May my heartbreak be a source of light to help another broken heart find its way out of the darkness that grief creates. Thank you, Emoji J. Thank you. Okay, so that's the book trailer. So as I was saying, as the book trailer kind of explained for you guys who don't know the story, I'm a widow. I've been a widow for almost 5 years. I wrote a book journaling my grief journey. I started the day he passed away, and I continued to write up until until I published my first book. And the reason I wrote the book was just because for me it was very therapeutic to write things down. And I'm glad that I did, because looking back at it, it's always interesting for me to see the growth that I've made. Because sometimes when you're grieving, you feel like you're not really making any progress. And if you write something down and you put a date to it, when you look back, you say, okay, wow, like even though I'm still going through this, I'm still processing it, I can literally see that I have made some growth. And one of the things that I like to tell people when someone passes away, because it's very personable, and the relationships that a person loses impacts the type of grief they have to go through. But I always tell people, especially if it's like someone that has lost like a spouse or a parent or a child or any relationship, it just depends. I always tell them, because a lot of people always say to me, please tell me it's going to get easier. And when I hear that question, I always try to be so honest with a person. And I always tell them it doesn't get easier. It just becomes more bearable. And to some people that may sound like the same thing, but it's really not. So each day you find new, craftier ways to process it. You find different ways to accept your new normal. And so I think that, of course, with 2020 was COVID was one of the things that really impacted a lot of people. And for some of us who may have never experienced loss, I feel like that brought about so many more losses than most people were really prepared to deal with. And I feel like the impacts of grief and people not processing it is going to be something that's going to impact our generation for quite some time. So like I was saying this morning,
just kind of reflecting, trying to understand what I was going through. I feel like sometimes your body and your mind goes through like a little, as I like to call them, waves of emotions. And I honestly, I'll be honest with you guys, I handle grief very well now, after losing my husband. But I will be very honest to say that I have still not completely processed my cousin's passing, probably just because she was so much younger than me. So that loss for me has been one of those ones that, even though, like, I lost my grandfather, me and my grandfather were like best friends, so that was a very tough loss that I took. Then losing my husband was very, very tough for me being a young person. But it was something different about my first cousin. I called her my twin, so it was very, very hard for me to process. She has a younger daughter that, was the same age my daughter was when she lost her dad. So it's very challenging for me. Kind of looked at her more of a sister. It was me, my two sisters, her and her brother. We talked every single day. And that's probably why I'm not even on Facebook as much now, because that's where our group chat was. And so, they still talk in the group chat quite a bit, but I kind of shy away from talking it as much, just because it's super hard to deal with. So we do have the guest today. I typically read a little insert from my book. I won't do it today unless we have time later on, then I will. But if you guys are interested in being on the show, Love Letter to Grief, please contact me or Skylight. Let us know that you want to be on the show. All you have to do is simply write a letter to, grief, and explain the relationship you've lost, what the person meant to you, or however you want to write your letter. But it also doesn't just have to be death, because we do realize that people grieve things other than death. Like, we had Jilly Baby on the show. She talks about her, dealing with lupus, being diagnosed with that. And that was very, very telling, because listening to her read her story gave me goosebumps, because it's exactly what I went through becoming a widow, as odd as that sounds. Because it's just having your life, like, like, rocked. And so, Skylight, if you're here, you can take the box and I'll bring you in. If anyone, has something that they want to share at the end, I'll definitely let you hop in the box and do that. But we do want to get back on track by doing the show every Sunday, 11 a.m. EST. So, Skylight, whenever you're ready, you can take the box.
Hi.
You want to be on the medium box or small box?
I look crazy small.
Okay, you look fine. Okay, so if you guys don't know, this is Skylight. Make sure that you guys favorite her. And, I don't know what letter she's sharing, if she even wrote a letter, but the floor is yours.
Okay, so I was writing a letter. It was really hard. I really think I was gonna start crying. But okay, so dear Jermaine, how could you? Why? Why didn't you call me? How could you be so selfish? Your kids will grow up without you. I'll grow up without you. It's hard. It's so hard. I remember you taught me how to make pancakes. Well, kind of. You said learn or you'll burn the house down. And you taught me how to swim. Well, kind of. You pushed me in the deep end. Now that I think about it, you were an abusive motherfucker. I'm so mad at you. I'm so mad at you. I'm not sad. I'm angry. And that makes me sad. Facebook is depressing. People keep posting pictures of you. People keep calling me. I don't want to answer my phone. I feel like I'm being pranked, but I'm not. You killed yourself. But when you killed yourself, you also killed a piece of me as well. That's all far I got.
Oh.
Sorry, it's kind of short. It was harder than I thought.
Okay, wasn't prepared for that. You told me you weren't going to talk about that. Okay. 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 So, for anyone that doesn't know, has it been has it been exactly a week?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly a week. Okay. So you can explain as much
A
as you
week,
want.
a week ago at 9 a.m., my brother decided to take his life. Um, he killed himself at his house. and he wrote a few goodbye letters to people. He was having a really hard time dealing with like just some drama that he was dealing with his girlfriend, and he got some other girl pregnant, and it was just too much for him. So he drank a whole bottle of some type of liquor and shot himself in the head. He didn't make it. And I don't really get why, because it's like, like I watch a lot of Lifetime movies, so I see people die all the time. But I've never had someone so close to me die. Like I've had a great grandma die, but that was
Mhm.
because of old age. So it was peaceful. It was happy, but that was my older brother. Like my daughter loves him. My daughter loves his kids, and it's so weird that my brother is dead. Like my brother is dead. Like I have siblings, but one is dead. How did he die? He killed himself. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's weird to say, and I'm so mad. And I feel bad that I'm mad. I'm not sad. I'm mad, and I'm sad because I'm mad at him. Like when he picked up that gun, he killed me. He killed his kids. He killed his mom. His mom is so sad. We have different moms. Like he killed everybody. He killed everybody. We might as well just have a memorial for the whole family because it'll never be the same. I was trying to make pancakes the other day and I thought about him. Little things like that just bothered me. Sorry. I'm just so upset. So upset. Like I've had one like a long time ago. I have thoughts about suicide, but I would never ever do it. Like ever in life. Like
Mhm.
he has kids. He has like 4 kids. I just don't understand why he would have. Like he could have came to my house. I would have bought him a ticket. He could have. I told you we could have streamed together. He could have gifted me. Don't let me lose. We could have done stuff together. Like I'm just so confused.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go to the memorial. Like I'm not answering my family's calls. I don't want to go. I
Yeah. So have you decided if you're going tomorrow or not?
I should, but I feel like I might regret it later. But I really don't want to go, like
Hmm.
at all. I just
Yeah.
want to forget about it. I just want to move on. You know.
Yeah. I think, and I mean, I have a when I did my grief group when I met this widow who lost her husband to suicide, and it was so interesting because it there's different things that makes your grief journey like difficult, and hers was when like I'm hearing you say what you're saying, and I heard her talk about it, and it's such you can't even get to the grieving part because you're so angry because it was at their own hands. But I've never had any of those thoughts, but I can't. But I'm obsessed with like grief, and I watch like all this weird stuff. And I watched this documentary once about people who survived suicide, and I forget which bridge it was. It's whatever I forget it, but there's this bridge that is like known for people committing suicide, the Golden Gate Bridge, and I think there's like I think maybe 4 survivors there, and they interviewed all of them, and there was this one guy that said he said the same. He met all the people that had survived, and they all said the exact same thing. The second their hands let go of the bridge, they didn't want to do it. And I was like, man, like how sad is that people like passed away and people were so upset thinking that they wanted to do this, but in all actuality, like maybe the split second before it happened, they actually didn't want to. So but I think that just causes so much confusion in our minds that a person could do that. But then on the flip side, it's like, well, person has to be really hurting that's the alternative for them. I know that doesn't really like help you in your process now because you're like, it's 1 week. I don't know. And so so I know originally you thought it was something different. Does that make it harder for you to process it or more challenging?
So we first thought his girlfriend killed him. This might sound bad, but I like that idea better than he killed himself. At least I had someone to blame. I can't blame my dead brother. It's horrible. So, and they thought she did just because like there's a gun, there's blood, she had the gun. It just looked like it, but then they quickly figured out that she did it after a while. That felt better than like my brother was 37, job, cars, beautiful kids, a teenage son who just graduated from high school, about to go to college, beautiful kids, beautiful, thriving girls. And I'm mad because why he killed himself. He killed himself because he cheated on his girlfriend and got another girl pregnant. So now that
Oh,
girl,
oh wow. I was just reading Jay's comment. Did you see Jay's comment? Wow. So I was just Jay's comment was from a person who survived from an attempted suicide. It's a pain that drives it there and a feeling alone, even though there are people around you.
yeah, doesn't make sense for him at all. It's just he killed himself because he had another girl pregnant because he cheated on his girlfriend. And not
Mm-hmm.
only are his kids gonna grow up without a father, that kid, the pregnancy is
Mm-hmm.
never going to know who her father is. And God forbid the kid thinks it's his fault or her fault.
Yeah.
Like my dad basically killed himself because
Oh,
he wasn't
right.
born.
Right.
Can you imagine that? Like that's horrible. It's just ridiculous. I feel like there might be more stuff going on that nobody told me or we don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just
It's usually more than what we think. You never know what's going on in someone's heart, someone's head or heart. That's true.
I'm even embarrassed. I know it's so bad, but I'm like embarrassed and just disappointed. I'm upset, and I should have my big brother here. That's my oldest brother.
Yeah. And your situation is so fresh. Like it literally has been exactly 1 week since you called me. Like that when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, it's like it's I can't even imagine like you're literally still processing it.
I'm like
So
confused. Honestly, like I'm just like, is he really gone? Like I really just think like he's gone. And he killed himself. And I'm just like, is he buried in hell? There's like so much that's going on in
mhm.
my mind. I'm like, how did he kill himself? Like, you're not supposed to kill yourself. Like, is he suffering right now? Like, I'm not gonna see him, ever again.
Mhm.
Um, it's just so like I get people die, and I'd rather it been like a stroke or like a car accident, but suicide is just like
Yeah.
it's like should I have called him more? Like, should I have like I don't know, like I didn't even tell him Happy Thanksgiving. Should I have told him Happy Thanksgiving? Maybe he would have like opened up. Like,
Mhm.
it, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I should have. I just keep thinking like, should I have done this or should I have done that? Like, should I have like randomly invited him here?
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. Just I don't know. I just don't really get it. Now I'm worried about everybody. I keep calling my sister, and I'm like, "Are you okay? Like, you're not gonna kill yourself, are you?" Just it's a
Mhm.
lot. And now I keep thinking about like all my family members that I haven't talked to. I'm like, are they okay? Like, cause my
Yeah.
so like both my siblings. Sorry, hold on. So with my siblings, everybody's light skinned, right? And me and him were like the only darks. And we all always call ourselves the Darky Twins. Like, and literally, my Darky twin is dead. Like, in the pictures, it's just gonna be light, 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 and my dark ass. Usually, like we see that we're together. It's just gonna be like me now, you know. So it's just, I want to show you a picture.
Yeah, this is it's really I mean like your story is like it's really like I'm trying to keep it together because it's so fresh and it's like so new. It's like insane. My brother's best friend shot himself It's been over a year and it bothers my brother every day. Facts. And then Jay said her uncle killed himself. I felt the same way, but nobody understands the pain that drives it there. So you're taking actions, asking for help. Yeah.
This is so if you could see that.
No.
That's him right there. So it's like the darks, and then we always like to like it's so funny. I mean, not myself. So
So
we grew up together. It's not like we grew up separately. Like we grew up together. When I was growing up, we had merged households. So even though we had different moms, both of our moms lived together in one house. So we.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
wow.
Always, yes. So like we grew up together.
Wow.
Mom, my mom. Like we had separate like divisions of the house, but like we grew up together. It's not like he was like living with his mom. I saw him with kids like
right
all the time. I saw him like all the time. Like I grew up with them, so it's like we live separate lives, you know, because he's an adult, living in a different state. But I have so many memories. Like it's just weird. Like my brother, like we share the same last name. It's just so weird to me, you know. Just I don't really get it.
Do you feel like you've been processing it this week, or you just like not been trying to think about it?
I have like if I open up Facebook right now, it's depressing. People keep posting pictures and they keep tagging me in pictures. And they keep commenting on my posts. People that I don't talk to. They keep posting and tagging me in a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
And they did some other stuff. People keep posting me at that. And I don't want to look at Facebook. I tried to delete my page and I didn't know how to do it. I tried to deactivate.
Yeah, I think you should just remove the app off your phone. I don't think you should delete it because everybody's different, but I live by Facebook memories. Like just being able to click on there and see things that he commented on or the little jokes that you guys may have had. I wouldn't delete it for that purpose because later that will like maybe bring you some type of joy, but maybe just remove the app from your phone.
He's never into social media. It's just it's so depressing. And people keep calling me. I don't want to talk. Like, we don't want to talk. They're just like, I'm sorry for your loss. Yeah, I'm sorry too. Like, I don't like. What else should we say? You could just text me that. Like, I don't get why we have to have a whole awkward conversation. I'm just crying, and you're probably crying more than me, and you barely even talk to him. Like, I have cousins who did like. You don't talk to him. Like, you don't know his kids' names. Like, where did he come from? It's like you're crying more than me. Like, I don't even get it.
But I think in people's defense, I feel, and I if you're an empathetic person and you hear about somebody passing away, the first thing that you think of is, man, I know this particular person must be hurting. Like, you know, like if someone if someone loses sibling, you think of the person that they were the closest to, and that's the person you typically reach out to because you can't reach out to anyone else. So you just want to say something to like they want to say something to you, and everybody's different. Some people want that and some people don't, but I think people just don't want to make the wrong move when it comes to how they handled it and how they responded for you. So she's like, yeah, whatever. But I think that's what it is. I just think sometimes people want to, you know, like for me, I have a list in my soul of people who didn't reach out to me. And so that to me makes a big deal, but to some people they don't want to be bothered. So people don't know how to react to the loss and grief. People mean well. Facts.
I never want to tell people. Like, I don't want to tell people. If it wasn't for them posting on Facebook, I would never have said nothing. And I still haven't made it. I haven't made it. Like, I don't get the point of making a long grieving post on Facebook. Like, I told you because you know why, and I told a couple other people. Well, one other person, but I don't want to tell people at all. I just want to go past it. Go past it. And then the fact that he wants to be cremated, I hate that as well. Just a lot.
Yeah.
Just a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting because this is something that I think we should talk about, because I always tell people, I always talk about what are things that you can do to help somebody that's grieving. And so it is important to kind of follow the cues. I say, I don't post anything on social media. I don't respond to anything on social media until the person I'm closest to does first. So I wouldn't be tagging you in anything if you haven't made a post. I wait for the person that's closest to them to say something. And I say respectfully, okay, this person has said something, acknowledged it. Now it's okay if I want to post something and say, I'm sending prayers to the family or whatever. But some people, I mean, social media, I think sometimes people mean well, but sometimes people are just, you know, they're just kind of naive to what they should be saying. I don't even say it anymore. Yeah. I mean, again, like I say, for me, I remember those things. Like I remember the people who I didn't hear from, and it was heartbreaking. So I think sometimes people just want to make sure they try to, you know, do what they should do, just to cover the bases. But I do think that you going tomorrow would be good for you, and I agree with you. Like it's probably gonna be one of those things. If you don't go, you'll regret it. But that's something you'll have to decide.
Okay.
If you're doing it to cover, then it's genuine because you're covering your bases because you love that person. So it's out of respect for that person and their loss. You don't want to be insensitive and say too much, but I don't want to be insensitive and not say anything. So I just want to pay my respect for the loss, to acknowledge it. Because to me, the worst thing is to pretend like you don't know what happened. But that's everybody's different.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. So do you want to tell us more about who your brother was, just so we can, you know, like better understand him, or are you kind of finished? I don't want to make you like talk too much and you're kind of, it's so fresh.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Okay.
I could talk about something else. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
You lost your mom this year, so I get it. Yeah. Well, Skylight, thank you for coming on the show. I don't want to like keep talking to you about it because I know it was very hard for you to come on. I was shocked when you said you were coming on. I was like,
okay. No,
okay.
this feels good because I like I said, I don't tell anybody about it, so it feels good to talk about it. Yeah. Because I haven't been talking to my family about it, so I've been avoiding them.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you for letting me come on.
You're welcome. We love you. Write some more.
Record this one. I look up.
Whatever. Like, who's looking at the way you look? We're all like, listen to your soul right now. Nobody's looking at you like, oh, no one cares.
I look horrible.
You don't. You look amazing.
I've been distracting myself with streaming because streaming's fun and it distracts me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm live, I can't answer my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Facebook, so that's a plus. And then when I'm not on live, I get notifications and I look at them and then I get sad again.
Mm-hmm.
I like to stream a lot, just to avoid it. I don't like Instagram right now.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, like I've been avoiding Instagram, even though my family's not on Instagram. I just think the thought of seeing other people with their families just makes me sad.
Yeah.
And I haven't told my daughter about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I need to, like she's 6. I don't know how. Like your uncle's like he's like she wasn't that close to him, but she remembers him. So I don't know. Like, I don't think she's gonna ask about him, so I don't think I'm gonna say anything. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I think kids are very resilient. There's this video, I'm going to send it to you, that I saw. It was this mortician that was talking about this family who was deciding if they should tell this little girl that her best friend had passed away. It was I think she was like 5 or 6. I'm going to see if I can find that video and send it to you. But it was basically, they were all so nervous that the little girl couldn't handle it. And when she actually got there, it was like this eye-opening moment for them that she was so resilient in the moment. And she handled it better than any of them ever could have imagined. So it's a healthy conversation that's necessary, because I do feel like we shouldn't shield our kids from things like that, because it does happen. But it's, you just want to delicately give it to them. But they're very resilient, and I think she'll be fine. She's very smart.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, exactly. Like I would hate for her to overhear somebody just casually talking about it, and that would probably shock her a lot more. I found out that children are very resilient. Like they'll say something that will make you be like, man, these little people, like they get stuff, so I think she'll be fine. But yeah, I definitely feel like I've never lost anybody to suicide. So I do understand it is a different type of grief. So I can't really speak on it a whole lot from any type of experience. Like I said, I have a friend that lost her husband to suicide, and it was interesting to hear her journey, because hers was the beginning, like she said, like the first 2 or 3 years, the only thing she could deal with was getting over the anger, and he did it right in front of her. So it was just, actually I have 2 friends. I actually have a person I went to high school with, her husband did the same thing, but we didn't have a relationship, so I didn't really talk to her about it, but it was crazy. So I know that suicide just adds like a different layer of grief and pain and confusion and frustration and all of that. So, but if anyone else wants to hop in the box and plug something in about a situation they're dealing with as far as grief, and you want to maybe offer some advice or some good wishes to Skylight or anybody else that's in the stream that's dealing with it, you're welcome to do so. I see a lot of you who are in the comments who should be on the show. I won't point any fingers. So whenever you're ready, let us know so you can come on the show and read your letter, because I feel like there's a lot of letters that should be read. So anyone, let me know. I think Skylight was over it. So, but I will read a part from my book if Skylight doesn't want to come back in. People are fragile, more fragile than we like to believe. And some people feel like the anguish they go through outweighs the good. Facts. It's very true. Hey, Miss Liz, how are you, love? Thank you guys for coming in. Welcome to Love Letter to Grief. We just talked with Skylight, who was talking with us about losing her brother to suicide. And I am going to read a small part from my book, and it is called Dear Faith. So when I wrote this book, there's different days that I wrote to different things. Most of the book was, of course, Dear Grief. And this particular letter was called Dear Faith. So maybe this can be something to encourage somebody, hopefully. Okay, so I wrote this on October 30th, 2018. Dear Faith, Faith, you have always been a voice within me that had a way of shutting out all doubt. Whenever I was facing a tough situation, I would tell myself to think back to the most absolute worst day of my life and see that even in that situation, when I saw no way out, God made it okay. I would find myself telling this to other people when they were going through their different storms. I am no stranger to hurt. I am no foreigner to pain. I had been broken before. I'd seen my life flash before my eyes. I'd experienced disappointment, loss, rejection, and even death. This isn't the first time that we've been tested, but this is by far the hardest test I've ever endured. Faith, God's word says that you are the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Even though I can't see you, the hope that I have in you and the promises that God has instilled in me, I cling to it. It allows me to hold on to you anyway. I could have easily allowed this heartache to make me turn my back on you. I could have allowed this loss to be the loss that turned my heart cold to the hope that you offer. I thank God my mom raised me in a household that believed in the word of God, and I trusted him. Faith and my dependency on God is what helped me make it through. I could have given up so many times, for the punches kept coming one after the next. It seemed as soon as I got through one wave, the next one came crashing down before I could even catch my breath. However, I kept hearing God's voice asking me if I trusted him. I kept thinking that this was just one page in my book called Life. You forced me to continue living, to continue writing, and to continue reading. While the story was heartbreaking, trying, and even downright devastating, I had to keep pushing, I had to keep reading, and I had to keep going. I had to keep believing. You have shown me that. One morning, I lay in bed unable to sleep, and it hit me. While I realize that grief has taken a permanent place in my life, it can never overshadow one thing that has been instilled in me in so many years, and that's my faith. One song that has gotten me through the toughest hours is a song by Smokey Norfolk called I Understand. The following words I repeat to myself often. I am the Lord, I change it not. I won't forget, nor have I forgot. You see, everything works according to my plan. I am God, trust me, I have the whole world in my hand. One more day, one more step. I'm preparing you all for myself. I'm getting you ready, and if you can't hear my voice, if you can't hear me speaking, just trust my plan. I am the Lord, I see you, I love you, and I understand. Those words are the epitome of my faith. I have never leaned to depend on God in ways that I had immaturely not understood the magnitude of what losing my husband would make me experience. You single-handedly saved me, Faith. I think back to the argument that I was having with God that afternoon while walking and hearing him constantly ask me, do I trust him? He was testing me then to see how much faith I had. People always say to me, I don't see how you're doing this, or I can't imagine how you're able to do it. They don't know how close you and I have grown. Faith, you are what pushed me through. You are how I'm okay. You're the reason I didn't give up. You're the strength I desperately needed. You're my beacon of hope. You're the one thing I can't see or touch, but the single thing that held me together. Without you, I would have died that night too. Without you, I would have allowed myself to fall short of God's glory. And without you, I would not have trusted God. And that's a scary place to be. You're the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, but you're also the source of power and the strength that I never knew I needed so much. My faith in God, his promises, and his words are the answers to how I survived this chapter of my life. Without my faith in God, the story would have ended quite worse than it did, and the pages of my life would have read quite differently. But with my faith, I will continue to push through because although this grief journey is tough, I know that I'm not walking it alone. Good chat. So that's interesting that I'm reading that, and this is probably exactly what I needed to hear, being that I literally just, that my cousin has been exactly 1 year today, yesterday. So yeah, but I mean, for me, it's always been, I thank God that I was always very faithful, because I know for sure, I don't know how other people do it without faith, because man, I would have been a hot mess. But I just feel like roughly facts. And I have friends who don't have faith, and I get it. Like, I have a lot of people who lost faith after losing someone, and it's hard for them to hear me talk about how my faith is what helps me, because their faith is what they lost when they lost that person. So it's a challenge. I don't have that kind of faith. So yeah, I don't know. It's not embarrassing. I think it's just a personal journey. I've just always been that way. And I am very happy that when I went through this loss, it didn't change it, because it definitely could have. There were times where actually there I don't think there ever was a time where I didn't feel like I had faith during the time, but it was definitely some dark times that I know the faith was what kept me going through it. So if you guys have any questions, or you guys have any comments about grief or your own journeys, feel free to type them in the comments, and I will try to read them out. Even though God allows hardship, I believe he uses it, and it's allowing me to help others. Facts. I agree with that. When I first came to this app, it was during a very tough time. I was coming close up to the holidays. It was during COVID. It was like I was super isolated from everyone. And typically when I'm going through really tough times, I go out with my friends, or I'm around my family, or I go somewhere. So it was for the first time dealing with my grief, I couldn't do any of those things. And so I didn't really understand my purpose of being on the app. But when I first came here, I was contemplating doing a vlog or a podcast, and I couldn't quite figure out how to do it. And then I stumbled upon live streaming. So it's oh, here we go. This is where we'll do it at. So just being able to talk to different people about it. And over the past year, we've had a lot of people come on and read their letters to grief. And it's been very therapeutic to know that God allows us to walk through things. So, like my thing is I always say, use your story, be transparent, help the next person. So, and faith doesn't need to be grand and big. It can be simple as getting through the day, healing in small steps, facts. Yeah, for me, it was just like my faith was just simply saying, this isn't going to break you. Like, this isn't going to kill you. Like, you can survive that. To me, that's having faith in something outside of my own strength or power that I even can understand at the time. I feel like I lost faith because I lost trust in myself. Wow. I had a severely autistic son, nonverbal, nor potty trained. I believe he's used that to make me a willing, happy hospital servant. Wow. I lost my faith in God so many times because I didn't understand why things happens. And to this day, I still question faith. Yeah, I get that. But for me, I feel like grief itself is so challenging. And I feel like our mind and this grief throws so many things at us to distract us from processing what we're actually going through. And so questioning my faith or being upset at someone or any other thing than dealing with the loss of my husband made it easier. So I just had to always refocus myself on, I'm feeling all of these crazy emotions because I missed someone that I loved. So how did you process your anger when dealing with grief? I was just honest with it. I remember one night I woke up and when I first lost my husband, I couldn't sleep for anything. I've never had sleeping problems, but for like maybe the first 6 months, I couldn't sleep. And I remember one night I woke up crying, and me and God had, I will be honest with you, me and God have had some fights, and I was like screaming out loud and just like letting him know how I felt. And so I've been tested. So I went through like the anger stage, and because it's like, when you get married, you say wedding vows and you think, when you say till death do us part, you don't actually think about that part. You think about everything else, the good, the bad, ups and downs. Like you think of all that, but the last part of that, you literally don't think about it. And it's almost like you feel like if you prayed about something and you feel like you have God's confirmation, then you feel like, this is where God wants you. So when it's taken from you, you're like, wait a minute, God, now we didn't talk about this. This is not what you told me. Like, I am being a faithful servant and I'm doing the right thing. What is going on? So it was definitely times where I was upset. But again, I always tried to find the silver lining. So I was angry that I lost him so early, but I met my husband when I was 12. So for me, it's like, that's a lifetime for some people, so I did recognize that we had each other for a long time. So that made it easier, but it was still super tough. And COVID has been hard in the hospital. I still want to give up. Yeah, COVID has definitely been crazy. My brother passing was the last test of my faith. I was done after that. I understand that. I remember when you read your letter, Weddy, and you were talking about that. So, but I think you have to process there's so many different stages of grief. I think you have to process and then take a look at each part of it. I don't love the word God. I find it makes people uncomfortable, but I have faith in the Creator when He's chosen. Yeah. And you know what it's like for me? It's like whatever gives you comfort, whatever you want to call it, whatever helps you deal with things and gives you something to have faith in and hold on to, I think it's fine. I still question God why He allowed my uncle to leave us. What left me here? It's a question that bothers me, and I know I don't have, but that's okay. I mean, like people say, well, don't question God, whatever. I had questions, God, we need to talk. I need to talk to you because this is not what I thought was going to happen. So I don't believe in that. Like, don't ask questions thing. I feel like you process anger by going to the root of it. Anger is literally just a temperate child. I ask why I'm here. It's my purpose. So faith is there, but I question it. I got you. You don't get over grief. You always carry it. Sometimes it's oversized luggage. Sometimes it's a personal item under the seat. Period. Sometimes it's a little piece of paper in your pocketbook. It's always with you though, for sure. Acknowledge your anger, accept your anger is okay. It has to be okay to be, yeah. And that's the thing, like it's okay like to process it if you're angry, like how Skylight was talking about she's angry with her brother. That's a very healthy thing. Even like I was angry at my husband, he didn't kill himself. Like there was still so much anger in the fact of him not being here. I'm still trying to find the silver lining. I feel like I'm been stuck in the anger stage. Oh. 3, you hold yourself, hug yourself, find love, and allow others to care for you to do that. Break down if you want to. Yes, exactly. I feel like my brother was an amazing person. He's gone. Yeah, exactly. That is a tough thing. Like I get that for sure, Weddy. Death is. Yeah, exactly. That's very true. But for me, I just and I'm still processing. I feel like I have a really good hold on that particular grief. Now I just have to unpack this grief of my first cousin because I have not begun to process that. I'll be honest with you, like it's I could probably count on my 2 hands the number of times I've even allowed myself to look at her pictures and think about her because it is such a hard thing for me to process. So I get that. Look for ways to, yeah. And again, for me, grief counselor, I always tell people this. I'm not a grief counselor. I'm not a psychiatrist, a psychologist, any of that. I'm not a counselor, but I am a strong believer in grief counseling. And I feel like grief counseling is best because they cater all of your counseling specifically to grief. Like you can talk to a counselor, but a grief counselor is different. And for me, hands down, that was life-saving. I don't know how I would have processed it without it. I remember going to my grief counselor and talking to her, and the first probably month, all she did was cry. And I was like, and she told me, she was like, this is so unprofessional. She was like, I'm not supposed to do this, but I literally can't stop crying. Like every time I talked to her, she would cry. And it was so helpful for me because it validated everything I felt. So even though I know like professionally, she wasn't supposed to cry, I needed her to cry. So because it made it to me, it's like, okay, I'm not crazy. If this professional woman cannot keep it together, it is okay. So reminding everyone to be gentle with themselves. Yes. Give yourself grace. Exactly. Yeah, like give yourself that. Like I tell people all the time, if you're going through grief and you wake up and you say, I don't want to do it, don't do it. Go back to sleep. Like life will be okay. Tell people no. If someone asks you to do something you want to do, say no. Choose yourself. Choose your personal peace over everything else. Take your time. Do it at your own pace. Like it's okay to, if you need to lay down a little longer or you don't want to be bothered, that's okay. Just don't let yourself get stuck. But, you need some no days. Like my daughter, she's 14. She's in high school. And her dad passed away when she was 10. I give her mental health days. If she wakes up one morning and says, I don't want to go to school, she doesn't have to fake a sickness. She doesn't have to make up a lie. Just, I don't want to go. Cool. Go back to bed. What do you want to do? You want to watch a movie? You want to come cuddle? Like, what do you need to do? What do you need from me? I think that we, like something that's necessary. So sometimes just you don't want to do anything. Yeah. Yeah. And also the thing is you have to keep in mind, people want to help. So you have to allow people in. Like a lot of people go through grief and they're like, oh, I'm all by myself. But you have tons of people who want to be there. So I say call people's bluff. You know how people send out that little generic, if you need me, let me know. I called a lot of people's bluff with that same message. It's like, okay, you sent this text, so here's the test. Like give people a chance to be there. I think a lot of people will surprise you because now there'll be some people going to disappoint you, but you're going to get a lot of people who are going to step in. So let people know that you need help. Like when people call you and say, how are you doing? Don't lie. Don't say, I'm doing fine. Like be very honest with people, be transparent, because we have to normalize that grief is not a 3-day journey. Like you get bereavement for 3 days from work. That's not normal. Like you need more time off. You need more mental health days. And so I don't do the fakeness. If someone says, how are you doing? I'm having a really rough day. I give them exactly how I feel. Because if you're going through it, the people who love and support you can hear about it. They'll be okay. Nope, I ain't lying. Nope. how you doing? Bad. Like, I'm very honest. Oh, you can stop me, Emoji J. I'm very honest about it. Like, I tell people, I am, you have to tell people how you're doing. It's okay. Like, because the thing